Microsoft PowerPoint 2007, adding content, media, and linked objects. Now, come on, admit it. Most of you that are viewing this CBT nugget skipped a lot of the text and some of the other things because you wanted to see the cool things, how to add video, how to add sound, and how to link to your Excel spreadsheets. Well, that's in this video, in this nugget, and okay, you can go ahead and watch it now. When I'm talking about media, of course, your mind leaps to the multimedia presentations of the future, right? Well, here we're going to be talking about video, show you how to insert a video clip. We'll take a look at how we can add sound effects and music if we want with audio. And then we're going to take a look at linked objects. It's so great when you're doing a presentation and maybe you want to show an Excel spreadsheet and it's right there, the results are on the screen, and then you can say, hey, let me show you how we came about with this, and you double click on it and boom, it opens up Excel right there within PowerPoint, and you can actually take a look at something like that. That's what linked objects is going to allow us to do. So you've made it to the fourth of our adding content videos, and here's where we get to the ultimate level of adding media, because that's really what a lot of you wanted to do, right? And so let's take a look. We're going to open up our Acme Vision Presentation 2 that we've been working on, and you can see here we've got all the things that we've had so far, where if you remember, we've got our text on there. Now we've got our word art, we've got our clip art, we've got our tables that we have information, we have our charts that we put together, then we added our shapes and our pictures and did some stuff even with the smart art diagram. So these are all things that we have in place. But probably the other thing we're going to want to do is, maybe since we're doing all this Acme instrument rentals, let's say we wanted to add a little video clip to this. And in fact, I'm thinking we should add another slide here. Go ahead and add a slide here. And then let's say we wanted to get a world famous person to endorse. So we'll say endorsement for instruments. And I wanted to place this world famous person's endorsement video clip here that would play when you're doing your PowerPoint presentation. Now that would be cool, right? I mean, that would definitely make people sit up and go, wow, look at that. We got a video clip on here. How do you do that? Well, again, you just come up here and click on the insert, and what you're going to want to do is come over here to the media side of things, where you want to click and do a movie from a file, or you can do a movie from a clip organizer. Now, you could kind of see that off to the side. Now, the clip organizer is going to go into stuff that's online, and then other animated GIFs, things like this, where you can see kind of animations kind of come and go. That's what that little means, that little transition things. You can also, of course, pick things that are movies. You can go to all collections. You can do quite a bit with that. But I'm going to show you something else. Instead, I'm going to pick it from a file that I already have in place. And here it is, the endorsement video. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. By the way, if you're planning on using media in your PowerPoint, like for movies or video, make sure that you use typically either a Windows Media file, like a WMV file, or a Microsoft AVI file. Those tend to work better. QuickTime.mov files have worked. I have had times when, just for some odd reason, the video just didn't want to play, and it was either because I took my PowerPoint presentation and took it to another person's computer and tried to run it, and they didn't have the appropriate video codec in place to play it. Now, with WMV files and AVI files, that's built into the Windows operating system by itself, and so that's a lot safer thing to do. Okay, so that's just a little endorsement there for using AVI or WMV. Now, it's not to say if you have your own computer and you want to use a movie file or something else, or an MPEG video, you can. So we'll go ahead and we'll say, all right, we want to use the endorsement video, and we'll put this very famous person's video clip up here. Now, of course, the joke is, of course, that's me. That's a video that I recorded of myself utilizing my webcam just to kind of show you how the video worked. Now, take a look at this. When you put a video or media clip in there, it's going to say, how do you want this to start in the slideshow? Now, what that means is, if I click on automatically, as soon as I advance from this slide over here, look where my mouse is, down to this slide, which has the video clip, it will start playing automatically. Or you can say, no, I want to make sure that it starts when I click it. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, think of it this way. If you're doing your presentation and you hit this slide and you want to talk a little bit about maybe the video, maybe I was showing how somebody plays an instrument, or maybe there was a short interview clip, and I wanted to set that clip up, you don't want it to play automatically as soon as that slide comes up. That would kind of, cut in the middle of your presentation. So you might want to wait until you can take your mouse and click over or even roll over it, which we'll show you in just a second. So I'll go ahead and say when clicked, and then you got your video clip right here. Now notice something about the video clip. It's a little small, and so what you can do is you can come down here and you can resize it again by merely taking your mouse, grabbing one of the anchor points, and expanding it out. Now, again, if you've recorded this video with a not a high definition camera, or you're not using the definition for it to set it high, I should say. If you expand it out, it will pixelate and it will look a little bit funny. Now, in my case, because I did shoot it at, I think, 800 by 600 or something like that, as I expand it, it still looks okay. It's not that pixelated. So it won't get distorted or anything like that. Now, when I did that, I got my movie options, of course, didn't I? Right here. And here's where we can say, look, I can do a preview. I can use the slideshow volume. Hey, what is the sound of it right here? You can also play the movie. What? Look right there. When clicked, automatically, or play it across the slide so it keeps playing as you move from slide to slide. You can do that. You can also do it, loop it until it stops. You can rewind the movie after playing, so that way, once it's done, if you wanted to play it again, maybe someone in the back said, hey, Chris, can I see that again real quick? Hey, no problem. I can click it, and it will have been rewound, and it'll play. You can play it full screen, or you can even hide it during the show, so the icon that represents the movie or the sound can be hidden, and you don't see that when you actually put it up in full screen for the presentation. So those are just some things like that. Now, if we want to preview it, let me see if you'll be able to hear it. I'm going to grab my little speaker here and get it a little closer to the microphone, and just understand that it won't run the audio through my sound card, so you have to kind of listen to it on my mic. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, and I'm going to click preview, and you can hear the movie and watch it go.
Hello, I want you to use school instruments.
So hopefully you kind of heard that. It says, hello, I want you to use school instruments. And so that, of course, put it down. Now notice it stops it again. You'd have to play it and preview it again and do all those type of things. And again, you can also right-click and you can format the picture. You can use the preview. You can bring it to the front, send it to the back. You can do a lot of the things that you saw me do with other clip art and pieces and pictures and shapes and things that we did. So this is just the video part, and you can insert this into your presentation, and notice it just disappears off of that. And so if I move to another slide and come back here, that's how it's going to appear right there on your screen. Pretty cool, huh? You can now you've always wondered, hey, how do they get those video clips in there? Just insert them and then set it up the way you want it to be when it actually plays. Do you want to click it? Do you want to mouse over it? What do you want to do? And then you're going to be good to go. So that's just one way of doing that. Again, if you want to edit or format certain things, of course you have the format here for the picture, the image for the movies. You can do it right here and set up the way that you want things to happen. So that's good for our media. Now what we're going to want to do is take a look at actually adding maybe some sound to our little presentation here. So let's say I go back over here to slide 7 here on my instrument types. And let's say if we're talking about these instruments, wouldn't it be cool to add a little button here that I could press during my presentation that would play the sound of a clarinet and the flute and the tuba? Well, how do I do that? Well, again, I'm on this slide here. I'm going to come up here to Insert, and over here under our Media Clips, you'll notice, what do we have? Yep, absolutely. We've got our sound. And again, you can use it from a file. You can do a sound from a clip organizer. You can't kind of see this a little bit here. Let me move this in a little bit so you can see this. So I'll do this again. So now you can see sound from the file, sound from a clip organizer. You can even play a CD audio track. It will link it to a little icon when you click on it. Now, of course, you will need to have that CD in your CD player on your computer, on your laptop, or on the desktop computer that you are playing it, or you can actually record a sound live right here off of your microphone, just like I'm doing here with showing you the videos here for CBT Nuggets. I can record sound through my microphone here and place it in there as well. So let me go ahead and resize it back over here. Let's go ahead and click on the sound. We'll do it from the clip organizer, which will then say, hey, what kind of clip do you want to use? Now, there's several different types of sounds here. Now, just understand, I don't have any tuba or flute, but I can use, some, little music here that I want to use, and Destiny March, Don Quixote March. These are all pre-built little sounds that we have in here that we can add. But I'm going to use, there's two little sound effects, claps and cheers and telephone. Those will work, and we'll pretend that those are actually the sound of a clarinet and a flute. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to go ahead and click on the claps and cheers. And don't forget, though, if you needed to, when I clicked over here on sound, I can just go straight to my file folders. If I already have these recorded, or MP3s or WAV files, I can then insert those as well. I'm using the media collection here. So I'll click on claps. It says to me again, hey, how do you want to start the sound, or how do you want it to sound and start? So we can do the same thing automatically as soon as the slide comes up, or when clicked. I'll go ahead and say when clicked. Now what's going to happen is you're going to say, all right, well, what happened? Well, look over here. See that little icon right there? That little a little speaker icon? Well, if I click on it, I can move it around here. That's actually the sound. And then when people click on it, you can actually play it. So now if I click on my sound tools, once again, let me see if I can hold my speaker up here and show you. Now, we would actually do this during the presentation by clicking on the icon, but let me go ahead and click the preview so you can hear what this will sound like. Alright, so there you go. So that's what it's going to sound like. So pretend that was some flutes, or I'm sorry, clarinets playing. Now, here's the cool thing. I can now take this and put it right over here, over onto my picture, and now right there in the corner, you're going to see that little icon. Now, I can hide the icon during the show, and so that way what it'll do is it'll just be a little area, and you'll know because your mouse will change over it, and you will know, but the rest of the audience won't. And you can click there real quick and play the sound. So I'll put that sound right there. Or you can, move it off here if you don't want it right there. You can maybe move it over here to the side, and then we can add another one. Let's come over here, click off, and I'm going to add a telephone. And so it's going to click. It's going to say again, hey, how do you want to start it? We'll do it when clicked. There it is, putting the object right there in the middle. And so we'll move it over here to the side. So now when I click on this one, it's going to play the clapping and cheering, or in theory, that would be the clarinets. And then over here, it's going to play the telephone, which would be, in theory, the actual flutes. So we could do that. And then I could add another one here for the tuba. So we'll go down here and we'll do an achievements, or all or nothing. And let's see. Bottle Blonde, Amazing Grace 2. Okay, let's put the Amazing Grace. Maybe they have a tuba in there. So we'll click on that instead, and so we'll add that one into our presentation. So you can, you just keep adding and adding and adding and doing whatever you want to do. And it's really cool because with the sound, now you're adding even more media to your environment, and it's just making it so much easier. Now, by the way, if I come over here and go ahead and close that, of course, you can use the preview button here, but to kind of show you here, if you click and select over here and double click on it, you can kind of hear the music or the sound going there. Or I can select over here on this one, and you can kind of hear that little telephone going on in the background. So you can even preview it by using the functionality, which is you play the sound when it's clicked. You can also notice with the sound you get a couple other things. The maximum sound file size. This is really good for you in your presentation, because this way you don't overload your presentation. Something I failed to mention real quick is, these media files and pictures and everything, if they're really big, they can start loading your PowerPoint presentation to this huge file. And you know what? Guess what? That takes a little bit. You can't just put it on a little chip or something. You might need to use a 1 gig stick to transfer between your laptop and your desktop just to get that file. Or if you need to email it to somebody, hey, you won't be able able to, because the thing is huge. It's, you know, more than the 5 megabyte maybe limit that your email has. So you can set the maximum sound file size to kind of help out with this. And you know, so whenever they import it, if it's beyond this size, they'll still put the link in here, but it won't be loaded as part of the presentation, and you will need to have the file located on the computer that you're playing the PowerPoint presentation. Just a little gotcha there. Now, one other thing that we do want to do is also take a look at, not only do you have these things that are capable of adding media, but what if you want to link to another object that's outside of your PowerPoint, or create something to where you can launch. If I'm talking about my instrument sales and I want to be able to jump out to maybe that actual sale information, or keep it updated, so that way, like we saw with the chart information, you know, you can use the Excel spreadsheet we saw there. And well, we can do that too down here. So let's go down here, add a new slide, and here we're going to say sales for the instruments. So we'll have another one, okay? And then what we'll do is, under Insert, we can come up here and notice we have Object. Now, Object is going to insert any embedded object that we have. Now, when I select on it, it's going to give me the dialog box that says, okay, what object do you want? Now, the nice thing is you can create something new. You can create a new document, like a PDF or Acrobat document, a bitmap image, drawings. You can use the Microsoft stuff that's here, and any programs that you have set up here on your laptop or your desktop that Microsoft recognizes. It will enable you to go ahead and insert that as an object there that you can kind of manipulate. Or you can actually create it from a file. This isn't good for like when you're going to do something like adding an Excel spreadsheet, which we're going to do. Now watch what happens. Now this contents of the file is going to go in, and so once you are in the PowerPoint presentation, you can activate the spreadsheet. You can open up Excel while you're doing the presentation, and it will show that information, or you can show the information that's in that particular Excel spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and go click on the browse, and we'll go over here to I actually have it in my CBT nuggets here in an example file. I have some sales figures. Now this is just some sales figures that we put together as part of our Excel series that we saw from a long time. I mean, I could do bulk instrument sales, but this one actually is too big. It literally would take 4 or 5 pages. So we'll just use the sales figure. I go ahead and I click OK, and what it says is, all right, this is the file that you're going to do with the CBT Nuggets backup example file for the sales figures XLS. So here's the file that we're going to use to create this linked and embedded object. Now notice what will happen though when I click on link. It says, by the way, I'm now going to only show an image of the information into your presentation. And so what will happen is now whenever I make changes to my sales figures, it can be reflected here into my PowerPoint presentation. I don't have to like go and make a change to the chart like I would here, or to the table which is up there. Now you can also come over here and display it as an icon. Now what that does is, now instead of showing a picture of the sales figures, you'll just see this little icon. Now I'll show you how that works here in just a second. But we'll go ahead and say, all right, we want to put in the sales figures. We want it to be linked, so that way any updates made to this file will be also shown here in my PowerPoint presentation. So I go ahead and click OK. It thinks for a second. It goes dum da da da. All right, here we go. Now we have our linked object, which is that Excel spreadsheet, and I'll go ahead and expand it out here. You can see a little bit more information here, and that should be good, and we'll expand it out just a little bit more. There we go. So you can see these are some sales figures. Of course, I'm talking about like food, I think, in this particular sales. So, you know, but you can see this information that is all set up. Now check this out. This is where it gets cool. I right-click on the actual image right here on the bar, and it says, do you want to go to the linked worksheet object, where you can edit it, you can open it, or you can even convert it back into just standard text instead of the actual object there. Or watch this, I can open up, and what it's going to do is it's going to open it up in Microsoft Excel. And so here is the sales figures, and so we see all the people here with all the information that we have right there, and it's all set up. And if I make any changes here, let's say I wanted to make that a change to 2008, right? and then I go ahead and take this information and change it down there, and I make these changes, and I click Save, and then I say, well, I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. Look what happened on my little picture. It updated it here. Isn't that cool? So you can also right-click, by the way, here, and you can click Update Link. And what that does is if you made some changes, let's say this PowerPoint presentation wasn't open when I made those changes, because it updated it in real time, I can then, open it up and say, I think I made some changes to that file. Update link, and when it does, it'll go ahead, and if you notice it said updating link, it went and saw if there was any changes made to this particular object that's been linked to this. Isn't that awesome? So this is a great way, especially if you're doing a lot of these presentations for sales and for marketing and things like that. Information changes so rapidly, don't have to change it in 14 different places. Microsoft's Office 2007, make sure that all of its programs are integrated, so that way when you update things in one area, that way it can be reflected in other places. Linking allows you to do that. Now let's say we wanted to, we're talking about these instruments and everything. Another thing I could do is, let me go ahead and scroll up here, and we're talking about the vision of what it is. Let's say I wanted to talk also about the history and the, quality musical instruments to the world. Well, I can come in here, and I can insert another object, and instead, this time, what I'm going to do is create from file. I'm going to browse here, go to my computer, and again, I'm going to go on up here to my CBT Nuggets, go to my example files, and go to my Word examples, and let's say I want to use the history of instruments. Okay? Sounds good. We got the history of instruments. I go ahead and click OK. And so I want to link this, and I'm going to display it as an icon. And check this out. So this is what it's going to show up. It's going to say it's a Microsoft Office Word 97 2000. Now I can change the icon, which is kind of cool. I can change it from this one to where it looks like this, or there's several different ways that you can make it look and feel. I'll change it to that one. Okay, sounds good. And you can change the icons to any icon that you have if you want. So I go ahead and click OK. I click OK here, and then it goes out and says, all right, you want that particular one, and here she is. And so now I can go ahead and resize it a little bit so we can see the icon, and it's going to say, here's your Microsoft Office Word 97 2003 document. You can, of course, take this and format the object just like you do anything else. You can update the link. You can link the document object. You can open it. So if I go ahead and open it, it's going to open up my Microsoft Word, and there you go. Here's the the history of instruments, and so people can click on it, and I can link on it right there. I'll go ahead and close right here within my PowerPoint presentation. So this is just another way that we can add content to our PowerPoint presentations. Not only do we have live media and sound, but we can also have what I like to call live documents that are being updated and changed. You can show them, preview them, and then review them to your audience utilizing PowerPoint 2007. There is definitely a cool factor or a wow factor in PowerPoint, and it typically involves utilizing some of the more advanced features like video. Putting a little small video clip of how to do something, or a demonstration, maybe an interview with a man or woman on the street to really make your point come across. Now just understand, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, be careful how much video and clips and transitions and craziness that you put into your PowerPoint presentations. But we can also add audio. We took a look at how we could add maybe some sound effects for something, maybe a little music bit. Maybe you're showing the new jingle for your radio station in your PowerPoint. Sounds good. Put it in. And then linked objects. This becomes really powerful, especially if you have sales figures or a document that's constantly being updated. You don't want to have to go in and constantly update it everywhere. Well, just link to it. And so that way any changes made to that object, whether it's a PDF file, a Word doc, an Excel spreadsheet, if it's updated there, you can then update the link, and boom, right there in your PowerPoint presentation, you've got the latest and greatest information. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.